people flowing in now. Thanks everybody for joining us this afternoon. If it's afternoon where you are. All right, we've got our trusty colleague Hetty letting you all in. So we'll have some more coming in here. Remember, this is always going to be recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel later on. So if for some reason you need to drop out partway, don't worry, you won't miss too much. My name is Kendall Borash. I'm here with my colleague Jada Frazier, and today we're going to be giving you a live demo of the Code Editor for Education platform and the curriculum Experience CS and how they work together. So before we begin today, your sort of session prerequisites, you should have created a free Raspberry Pi Foundation account, and you should have created or joined a Code Editor for Education school account. This should be created with your professional or organizational email, not your personal Gmail. And if you haven't taken care of it today, don't worry, you can do it another time. But today, hopefully you're in there and ready to follow along with us later on. So again, I'm Kendall Borash. I am located in Minnesota, and I'm one of our customer success managers, joined by our other customer success manager, Jada Frazier, who is located in Georgia. Our main job is to help educators get started using Experience CS and get familiar with the Code Editor for Education. And so we're excited to have the opportunity to fill you in, show you what it looks like, and walk you through some of those steps for setup. So here at the Raspberry Pi Foundation, our mission is to enable all young people to realize their potential through the power of computing and AI. You might be familiar already with the Raspberry Pi Foundation. You might have heard of Raspberry Pi, the technology company. We are two different companies with two different structures and CEOs, but the Raspberry Pi Foundation actually founded the Raspberry Pi Technology Company. And so we share the brand, but we are and always will be device and platform agnostic. So you do not need a Raspberry Pi computer to learn with us. We don't sell Raspberry Pi computers, Experience CS. You only need a laptop, a web browser, and a good attitude. So, all right, so just some highlights of Experience CS in case you missed it. It is designed for grades 3 through 8. Of course, you're welcome to use it outside these grade levels as well, but those are the grade levels in which we have standards alignment with this curriculum. Secondly, it is free and free forever. It is Scratch-based and units are cross-curricular. So this is an integrated curriculum. This means that you don't need to use it just in a computer science classroom. You should be excited to use it in your general education classroom as well. And we think that we have prepared it well for you to feel competent doing so. Again, it is standards aligned. It's also been developed using Raspberry Pi Foundation research and pedagogy. We have provided learning materials to you, educator resources, free professional development, all of which is available in English, Spanish, and French, including the curricular materials. And we have 12 units now and getting ready for a few more next month. So here's our curriculum timeline, just so you can see how far we've come in quite a short time. And our final units will be released next month. So we're very excited to say Experience CS as a curriculum is almost complete. Here's our agenda for today. Jada and I will walk you through setting up your digital workspace. One bit of feedback that we've heard is we need to understand how to begin and how to understand the differences between the curriculum and the code editor. And then we kind of did a brief curriculum overview, but we will do a live Code Editor for Education demo. Jada is going to lead us through that and show you what it looks like from the teacher and student perspectives. So let's talk about your digital workspace. We've talked a little bit about the curricular materials already. There's the link down there in the bottom left if you feel like poking around in the curriculum while you watch this. And we've also teased the Code Editor for Education a little bit. Projects from Experience CS are pushed from the curriculum into the Code Editor. And in the code editor, that's where you assign those projects to your classes and where students go to engage with the work, submit their work. It's also where in the future you'll be able to give feedback to students. And my colleague Andrea dropped a link in the chat to the curriculum. Thank you, Andrea. So on the Experience CS curriculum page, which is that link in the bottom left there, experience-cs.org, you're going to find the curriculum units, lesson resources, slide decks, all of which you can take and make your own. So please make a copy of the slide deck, add your own examples, change the examples that don't quite work for you, make it relevant for your students. You'll find your teacher resources, so your getting started guides, current webinar, historical webinar, PD courses, and then you'll use this page to get started in your planning for implementing this curriculum. So we hope that you'll review the unit overviews and use those lesson plans and resources to make this a really good experience for you and your students. And then you'll also use the curriculum page again to push those projects in so that students can access them. So in a moment here, Jada is going to change the screen a bit and just kind of walk you through the curriculum page.
All right, thanks, Kendall. So the moment we have you all here for, we want to give you a live kind of demonstration and tour of both that curriculum page and also the code editor for education. So what I'm going to do now is jump here to that curriculum page. Again, Andrea has shared that link in the chat with you if you want to explore with us as we walk through this, but to kind of bring it all together for you. Once you're here on the Experience CS curriculum page, you'll see our toolbar across the top with a few tabs. You can begin to explore the curriculum on this page under that curriculum tab, and then there's the teaching resources and also that about tab. Right now, we're here on the home page where you can just find informational bits and tidbits about Experience CS. You can begin to register if you haven't already for that code editor for education account. And then you also see other resources here on that home page that you can take just a moment to kind of scroll down and begin to explore. Now, if we come back to the top and jump into that curriculum page, you'll see this, as it sounds, is where you can find all of those units that make up the Experience CS curriculum. So as Kendall stated, we have units written for grades 3 through 8. And each of those units is going to be found here on the curriculum, under the curriculum tab on that Experience CS page. A few units that you can dig into and explore here, but I'll click into one just to show you a little bit more of what is provided on that curriculum page. So let's just say that I'm interested in unit 3.1, Weather Watchers. This is going to be that first unit for grade level 3. And as you can see, once you open that unit, you have all of the information you need to kind of understand what this unit is about, which grade level, the integrated subject areas that it fits nicely into, and also the length of time that it may take you to teach this particular lesson. But again, this is a flexible curriculum, so all of these things can be made to fit into your particular context. But one thing that's nice is that all of the resources that you need to begin to implement this curriculum or this unit into your classroom are here on that curriculum page. You've got your unit overview document, which we would strongly advise clicking into and just exploring a little bit of what's there, as it sounds like it's going to give you an overview of that unit. I'll open it up quickly here just to show you got an overview of the lessons. You'll also find in that document the standards that are particularly addressed within the unit. So all of this is great for planning, pre-planning, and just like preparation for that unit. If we come back here, you'll see that there will be several lessons within each unit. And for each lesson, you are able to view the resources for that lesson. So I clicked into, yeah, Kendall?
Change your tab.
Sorry. Let me go back.
Yep.
Thank you. Remember to do that.
Perfect.
Then let me go back here. All right, so you see our list of lessons here for that same unit. And then next to each lesson, you have the option to view the resources for that lesson. Okay. So here I've selected lesson 1, which is the introduction to program. Again, you get a quick blurb about this particular lesson. more information. The learning objective and those standards are there. And as you can see, this is locked right now, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. You want to be sure that you have that Raspberry Pi Foundation account in order to unlock all of these resources on the curriculum page. And that's why that was going to be a prerequisite for you. So I will go ahead and log in here now. And as you can see, it's asking me to log into my Raspberry Pi Foundation account, which I will do through the Google single sign-on. You can also just enter your username and password if that works best. And you see now here, all of these resources have been unlocked for me. So I have my lesson plan, again, a great planning document for teachers to explore. And then there's also that slide deck, which accompanies this lesson and can be edited and modified, again, for your classroom context to make things more relevant and engaging for your students, all of the above. Now, some lessons will include a Scratch project as well, not all of them, but if they do, you will see Scratch projects as a part of that lesson. And here's where you can kind of preview that Scratch project lesson before assigning it to your students. But before we get into where that happens and all of those things, we'll kind of wrap up our tour of the curriculum page before talking about the code editor. So as you can see, all things that you need to deliver these lessons and this curriculum, get started with it, are on the Experience CS webpage and under that curriculum tab. Also here we have the teaching resources, and this is just a great place for you to explore a bit. If you're getting started, say that you're getting your account today, we'd highly recommend coming here to the teaching resources page and checking out our getting started materials. There's a lot of great information here to get you going, including setting up your school account, which has gotten a lot easier for us as of today. Great news there. We also have setting up your class and assigning projects, which we'll talk through briefly. So if you have a moment and you need some support getting started, definitely check out the teaching resources page. And just as a shout out of some other things that live here on the curriculum webpage, you've got online courses that we feature from the Training Hub with the Raspberry Pi Foundation, a curriculum map, another great planning resources here, key vocabulary, and also some of those pedagogy practices for cross-curricular education. So we know you probably want to jump right into that curriculum tab and begin to get started with your students, but we always love to kind of point out the other resources that live on this curriculum page. And last but not least, learn as much as you can about Experience CS here on that About page. Again, more great information about this curriculum, our aim, and all of the great work that has gone into it. So that is a tour of our curriculum page. That's just one part of how all of this comes together. And so what I want to do now is kind of kick it back to Kendall to highlight the next piece of this.
All right. Thanks, Jada. So again, all this talk, we're kind of hyping it up a little bit, but where do we push the lessons to? We push them to the code editor for education. So here are some of the latest features, the coming soon, the coming in 3 to 6 months. There's also been a slight update to this slide as of today. So latest features, you can import classes from your Google Classroom right into the code editor. Your students can log in with Google Classroom. Your school account owner can remove students from the school and remove classes from schools as well. Those are all kind of new and fresh. And you can still upload students without Google Classroom. That's just, a new update. So coming soon, you will also be able to remove a project from a class. Right now, you can hide projects from students, so you still have a way of keeping them from your class. But this will be a full removal. Oops, delete, didn't mean to do that. And then we're also working on improving the way that users log in and giving new login options besides login with Google Classroom or username and password. That we had simplifying the school account verification process on there is coming soon. That was effective today. So previously you had to wait 3 to 5 days to be approved so we could individually review every application. And as of today, it is immediate. So as soon as you sign up for a school, you are able to get in there and get started. And I'm really proud of all of our teams that worked on that. It was a really, really big push, and we're really grateful. And then coming in 3 to 6 months-ish are multi-tenant accounts. So we recognize that there is a need for educators to be able to teach across buildings. We hear you loud and clear, and we will work on it. So we're going to go live now. Jada will get us set up in the code editor for education and show us what it looks like in there.
All right, so back to our live kind of presentation here now. You have that second link in the chat, which is going to be that code editor website, and that's where you want to go to get started with the code editor and get logged in. So once you put in that link, you'll be brought to this home page, and you want to be sure to click on to For Education at the top of that home screen. And what I want to do here now is actually go ahead, since I've already created my account and that lives as the prerequisite for this webinar, we want to go ahead and make sure we log into our code editor for education. All right, so as you can see here now, because I've logged into my RPF account on that curriculum page, it got me immediately logged into my code editor for education, which has a few tabs across the top here as well. But where we specifically want to draw your attention and where you're going to work in your code editor dashboard is going to be under that Your School tab. Okay, so if you have that tab, you should have that tab and see that tab there if you've obtained your school account within the code editor for education. All right, so now we click on Your School, and you see that this is where you are going to manage that Scratch safe school environment for your students. Here on the home page within that code editor for education, you're going to see your school login code, which is going to be important for getting your students logged in. I'll show you how to use that in just a moment. But you also see immediately here that you have this button here in the right-hand corner, which is where we'll manage our members of this particular school. We'll walk through that in just a second. But here on the homepage as well, you see where all of the classes that you have created within the code editor are going to be listed for you. In the event that you are ready to create a class, there are options for doing that. Once you click on the Create Class button here, you're going to see that we have two options. You can create a class manually, or you can import a class from Google Classroom. So if you're going with the import from Google Classroom, it's pretty intuitive. You want to just walk through these steps, make sure you have all of your information ready in Google Classroom, and it will nicely sync those rosters from your Google Classroom into the code editor for education. Now, if you are doing that manually, you're going to want to click on Create a Class Manually. And this requires just a few more steps. Got a question, saw a raised hand there. Feel free to drop any of those questions into the chat for us, and we'll see if we can get your response there. And if not, we'll pause here in just a moment to take some of those questions live. All right, so with that manual process, you do want to give your class a name. So probably go ahead and find a naming convention that works best for you. And that is going to be placed here for class name. If you want to give it a description, you're able to do that as well. So I'll just go ahead and kind of walk through this. And you see it quickly created that class for me. So now the next part is that we want to be sure that we get our students into our classes. So that part is pretty straightforward, pretty easy. And now what we want to do is come to manage members. And here is where, if you haven't gone through the Google Classroom rostering process, this is going to be a bit of a manual process for you as well. But as you can see, all of the members in this school are listed here on this school member page. And you do have a few controls here. You can minimize this list to owners of this account. You can see only teachers that are a part of this, or you can choose to only view the students that are a member of the school. As Kendall mentioned, we do have just a few management options. You can edit the details for a particular student and also change their password if there's a need to do that from this screen as well. All right, so now, When we want to add a student, we'll click on the Add Student button here. And again, you've got two options. You can add that as a single student, or you can add multiple students. So adding a single student allows you to just quickly put in that student's name. The manual work comes in where you do have to choose a username for that student, as well as that temporary password. Once you get students started with their initial login, they will be prompted to reset that password. Again, it can be the same password that you gave them, or just something that you're pretty sure they will remember once they log in again. So pretty straightforward there. But let's say you want to do that with multiple students. Here, you're going to need to create a CSV file following the format. If you click on this link here, it's going to kind of give you instructions around what the format of that CSV file should be, but it should include the student's first name, last name, their username, and also that password. So again, be sure that your headers match the format of the CSV format example so that there aren't any errors there. So once you've created that file, put your students in. That is the manual lift, but all things should run smoothly from there, allowing you to add students. And at that point in time, all of the students that you've added will be listed here and ready to be added to your classes. Do we have any questions? I'll pause for just a moment to see if there's anything I can answer for the group. All right, got a thumbs up there, so we're all good. So now we've walked through. I'll go back. I can click on the Your School link here. That's going to bring me back to my homepage. So now we've created a class. We know where to now get our members into the school. And so when I'm ready to add students to my classes, if I click on the demo course class that I just created, you see now here I have an option to begin to add class members. So from here, once I click on that class members button, all of my members that have been added to my school can be found here if I select add member to class. So as you see, you get a pop-up window here, and you can begin the process of selecting multiple students to be added into this list that will be a part of that class. You can also begin typing a student's name to quickly select those. And so this will allow you want to obviously have your roster handy so that this can be a bit of a quick process for you. And then I just add selected members, and that's nicely going to add those students to that class. Okay. All right, so that's a lot of what you would need to go ahead and get your digital dashboard kind of set up and ready to go for you and your students. You see now we've got our class created, we've got our students imported in, and now we have our students also as a part of the course that they need to be a part of. So again, I'll just pause here quickly to see before we move into kind of the next part of assigning projects and bringing these two worlds together. Were there any questions for the group, Kendall or Andrea? We're all good?
We have a quiet bunch today.
All right, perfect. All right. So now we want to bring it all together. We're going to continue with the live demo to really show you all how this looks for both you as the teacher and the student once you've got your assignments in there, which will largely be the next piece that I show you. And then we'll look at what it looks like for your students to see things from their perspective. All right, so I'm going to go back to my code editor, actually to the curriculum page, caught myself there, because this is where I want to go to assign projects. So make a note of that. When you're ready to assign projects, this happens from the curriculum page and not from within that code editor web page. So I've set up all of my classes, I've got my students in, and now I'm ready to assign them their first project. So let's go to, I'll just choose how to program a mystery for my 5th graders. And I want to jump in with this first, let's go back here. We've got our first Scratch project, a mystery story. And as you see here, I can select add to my class from that curriculum page. And what that's going to do is allow me to select the class that I want to share this project with. So I'll go ahead and add this to my demo course that I just created and select Add Project. Once you've done that, the curriculum page is going to give you two options. You can either view your class, which is going to take us to that code editor page, or we can stay here on the curriculum site and continue to explore our lesson resources. But what I want to do now is I'll go ahead and click on View Your Class. And as you can see, that takes me right back into the code editor site. And it brings me to my projects page where I have assigned the mystery story to my students. One thing to note here is that you do see kind of the I with the slash through it. That's an indication that this particular assignment is not ready for your students to view. Okay, so just another thing to note there. You do have kind of some management around when students have access to this project. You can pull it away if you need to and give it back. And the way that you're going to be able to do that is if we click into this project, you see here that you have an option to preview that project within the code editor. Here is where I can show this project to my students or hide it. Okay, so that's where you manage that feature. I'm going to go ahead and show it to my students. And then you can also copy the link to share with your students as well, if that is something that's helpful for your classroom management. All right, so if I go back to my course here, I see now that the eyeball with a slash has been removed, which means that my students do have visibility to this project. I'll click it in once more just to show this is where once students begin to submit their work, you'll see a list of their names here. It's going to show you timestamps for their submissions, and then there'll also be an option to see that students are ready for you to review their work. And I'll show you that here in just a bit. All right, so let's look at an example of that. I'll go into my Empower demo course just to kind of show you what it looks like when students have begun to submit their work. So we see here, moving a little fast, but I selected my 10 block mission project. And as you can see, I've got several students who have begun work on this. All of their names are listed here. And then I have 2 students whose work they have turned in as ready to mark. And that will be indicated by the ready to mark sign here. So for any of these students, you are able to click into that assignment or just by clicking on their name. So I'm going to select Zoe here. And as you can see, this opens up to Zoe's project. And I can kind of review her work, take a look at the steps that she's taken, and then also just kind of play and take a look at the work that she has completed. All right. So that is largely from the teacher perspective, what you're able to do in terms of monitoring students' work, taking a look at their submissions. Again, you'll do that from the list of your project, and then also keeping an eye on when they've submitted those things and when they're ready to be marked. All right, any questions there? Again, feel free to drop those into the chat as they come in for you. But if not, I'll keep us kind of moving along and now flip to what happens for your students once you have submitted those projects to them.
Just to jump in here, Jada, I'm going to approve the questions in the chat so others can see what's been asked already, and then we will do Q&A at the end so you can keep on flowing through this.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So now, one thing that I mentioned is that I can copy my class dashboard, or what do we want to call it, like school login code, as is stated here, to support my students with getting logged in. And we've learned that going this route is minimizing some of the login issues and challenges that we've seen. So we do highly advise grabbing this code or this link from your dashboard and finding a way to nicely share that with students. And so once you do and you have students select that link or go through that link, what you're going to see here is on that login page, your students will obviously select I'm a student. And here, what's a little different about this login page is that your students, if you've given them the link from your dashboard, they should see the school code on their login screen. Okay, so this is essentially allowing them to skip the step of having to enter that school code, which we know is helpful for our younger kiddos, where less is more for them. All right, so I'm going to log in as Zoe, the student that we just took a look at her work. Type this in again. And she's going to get logged in here. As you can see, we are again being prompted to have Zoe re-enter that password, and that's something that your students will see as well. Again, just advise them to use the same password, make sure they type it in correctly to avoid, again, more challenge there. All right, so Zoe is logged in, and as you can see, the first thing that she sees is the name of her school. She's going to see your classes and then the course that she has been enrolled into. So here's that Empower demo course. This will obviously be the naming convention that you've given your class that your student will see. And here from Zoe, I know that I need to click on my class. And now I see all of the projects, just one here, that have been assigned to me by my teacher. So I've got my 10-block mission. What's great for me as a student as well is my progress is noted here. I know that I've completed this one. So if there were other projects in my list, that would kind of give me an idea of what I've made progress on, what's been completed, and what still needs my focus. So I would click on to the 10-block mission here if I wanted to review my work. As you can see, it's redirecting that student, so they need to continue through those steps here as a student, and it is going to open up that project for them. As you can see, I think a few things, this looks similar to what you see on the teacher end in terms of that scratch board and code editor, but a few things that are necessary for your students to be aware of is where they go to mark that assignment is finished. So you see here, we've got our check mark where students are able to kind of indicate to you as the teacher that their project is ready to be marked. Over here, very important, we've got that save button. We've heard the feedback that we love, and students would probably benefit from there being more of an automation to the saving process. But until then, definitely remind your students to use that save button frequently here in the top right-hand corner of their screen. But again, all of these things within the Scratch portion of the Code Editor for Education are similar to what you have on your side. And so you can, one, just a shout out to our Unit 0 lesson, begin to get your students acclimated to this screen through that Unit 0 lesson, or you yourself explore all of the functions and prepare your students to engage with the Code Editor for Education here. All right. And that's largely it. Very simplistic on the student side, which is probably great. Keep them kind of focused on the projects that they need to be working on, needing to know where to save, and then also where to let you know that they're ready for their assignment to be reviewed by you. So I think with that, that kind of wraps up our live tour of the teacher and student POV of the Code Editor for Education coming together with that curriculum website of Experience CS.
Thank you so much. That was so helpful. All right, so I'm going to just turn it to this next slide here. Feel free to snag a screenshot, a picture, watch for it to come out later via the recording. But this is sort of a getting started checklist that's walking you through what Jada showed today. Take it with you and go ahead and use it as a tool to help you make sure that you are comfortable with these two platforms, or website and platform. And then I'm going to pause here and go through some of the questions in the chat before we move on to kind of what's coming next in terms of professional development. So I'm just going to go through these kind of in the order that we got them. So First question we got is, how does the teacher know if their school already exists when creating a Raspberry Pi account before they become the owner of the school? We are going to put our contact information on the last slide here for you to grab. And our guidance is for you to just reach out to us and ask. So we have a master system where we're able to see where accounts exist. If for some reason you went ahead and signed up for your school anyway, it's okay. If you want us to merge them together, if there are duplicates, we can do that. But it's not going to break anything. So don't stress about that too much. Just reach out to us. Is it possible to customize the project name when assigning to a class? Not yet. We have heard that feedback a lot though, so thank you for submitting that. And in case you missed it, the last webinar that we had went over the changes that were coming to the code editor and the feedback that we'd heard and what was going to be put into action. I highly recommend listening to that webinar if you haven't had the chance to kind of understand what's coming next, but also just hear from Jason Bates talking about how much we really value your feedback. And so every bit that you are putting in this Q&A right now is helping us inform the next steps for the code editor. So no, you cannot customize the project name right now, but hopefully in the future. Is there a way to navigate from student work to student work directly without returning to the list view of all students? That is also on our feature suggestions list. We wrote that one down as well. So she's asking about the ability to just click next student instead of that extra navigation. Really, really helpful feedback. Thank you. Can students create Scratch projects that aren't in the Experience CS curriculum while still staying inside the safe space of the code editor? This is not yet an option, except we do have sort of a workaround, which is that Unit 0 lesson. So feel free to let your students play in Unit 0 and create whatever they want. You can even assign it multiple times if you want to, but the caveat to that, what makes it sort of a workaround, is not being able to rename it. It's going to still say Getting Started as the name of that project, even if you assign it multiple times. But stay tuned. That feature is really important to us too, and we recognize there's a massive, massive need for it. So thank you, Amy, for including that. Okay, also, at the very bottom of the curriculum page, there is a link to subscribe to our mailing list. Maybe Andrea can throw that in the chat as well. If you sign up for our mailing list, you will get product development updates. So you will be the first to know when that kind of open-ended block-based coding environment is available to your students. Okay, is it possible to sort the submitted work list in alpha order instead of chronologically? Not yet, but again, this is in beta. We really, really love getting this feedback, so keep it coming. When looking at the work of a student, is their username visible anywhere if you forget which student it is? Right now, we recommend that when you roster your students, that you're putting their first and last name as their name in your roster file. You can also include middle initial alongside that first name if that's helpful. We know that not every district is comfortable putting first and last names in there, and they might use a pseudonym or some other kind of moniker. And so we are going to consider adding that functionality in the future for you to be able to sort of see the username and not just the first and last. So thank you for that question. Sorry if I missed this. Is this a contained platform, so not open to the public version of Scratch? That is correct. In the Code Editor for Education, there is no way for students to communicate with one another within the platform, nor to share their projects with others in the platform. Instead, our curriculum team built opportunities for collaboration and sharing into the slide decks for the lessons. So there's a lot of, we call it code and talk instead of turn and talk. And other opportunities for them to share with one another IRL, if you will. Okay, and then if I roster students through Google Classroom, is there a way for them to log in directly from there, or do they have to go through the link on the Code Editor dashboard page? Right now, they do need to go through the link on the Code Editor dashboard page. And we highly recommend that option anyway, because it inputs the school code for students. One thing you could do though is you could embed that link into the Google Classroom assignment, and that way that link is easily locatable for students. Okay, I'm just making sure I didn't miss any. I think that is all for right now, but keep putting questions in there. We will check back at the end of this as well to see if there are any more. Oh, one more. I didn't hear where the student password comes from. Got it. Teachers set student passwords unless they are logging in with Google Classroom. So if you opt for the Google Classroom upload, they are going to log in with their Google Classroom account. If you opt for the manual process, then teachers will decide on the username and password for students. And when students log in for the very first time, they'll be prompted to change their password. So for younger students, we often say just have them put the same password in again. Older students sometimes want the autonomy to set their own password, and that's great too. Just know that at any time, teachers and account owners can reset student passwords. So if for some reason it gets typed in wrong, or you need to change it for any other reason, that process is really quite quick. Okay. So what is coming up next? In lieu of a March webinar, given all of the spring breaks, we are going to be releasing some sort of an unplugged activity for you all to engage with. Always optional, always free, but there in case you want to continue your computer science education through March. Also, we are really excited over here because we are about halfway through our first Train the Trainer program. So Jada and I are working together to train educators in a number of different states. We have trainers in Maine, Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Minnesota going through the cohort right now, with the goal of being able to go back to their organizations, whether it's a district, an ESC in Ohio, all types of educational organizations, and share the wealth of knowledge with their peers. So if that is something you are interested in, let us know. You can either email us or you can sign up for our mailing list, and we'll let you know when future cohorts become available. And then also, as we think ahead to spring and summer professional development opportunities, we'd also like you to get in touch with us. We have a few PD partners. We have a PD partner in Canada, we have one in Texas, and we have a PD partner who kind of goes all over the US. So please let us know if you would like us or one of our teammates to come to your district virtually or otherwise to teach you about this program and help you deepen your computer science education and skills. All right. We'll see if there are any more questions in the chat. Feel free to keep sending them our way. And thank you. Thank you so much for being engaged with us today. And we got lots of people in here using it. So we're really excited and eager to hear more feedback as you explore and get your classes set up. All right. I see one question in the chat that is specific to a district. I will reach out to you one-on-one to talk about it. But for the good of the group, it's a note about data privacy. If you are in a district where you need a data privacy agreement signed in order to use Experience CS, that is another great reason to reach out to us. If you just send a message to that inbox, making your request for a data privacy agreement, you will be connected with me and we will talk about it and I'll walk you through our process. All right. Where to sign up for updates? Let me grab the subscribe link. Okay, I am Thank you, Andrea. Andrea just dropped it in the chat. So if you follow that link, you'll be prompted to enter your email, agree to our privacy policy, and then you will start getting email updates about the developments to come and train the trainer and all that jazz. All right. Jada, you see anything else in the Q&A, or are we all set?
I think we are all set.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, everybody. And please, again, don't be afraid to reach out to us if you have questions or you want to tell us your wish list.